Here is another video requested by one of our viewers who is going to be doing some remodeling to a bathroom above a basement. So we have a basement underneath this bathroom. And the individual wants to remove the shower and put a tub here and then move the toilet over to here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the plumbing currently looks like. Now keep in mind that I did not ask for any measurements and designed everything off of a video that I requested from them. However, I think it's close enough to the original to make sense to use it for the rest of the project. So we have the shower here, a 2-inch pipe coming off, coming around here to a combo fitting. And then we have a toilet draining into a sanitary T, coming up with a 90. Then we have basically a vent. We have a wet vent from here to here, and then everything drains down and out to the sewer. So the toilet is going to be draining in this direction. The sink is going to be draining into a sanitary T and draining in this direction. And then we have a full 3-inch pipe going out through the roof. And this is what I'm guessing the sink looks like. I don't really know because there's a chase here. So we have a chase that I'm guessing is specifically for the pipe. I do not know what this connection here actually looks like. So let's go ahead and move the toilet and the bathtub. Take away the floor and the walls. And for this example here, I'm going to have the bathtub draining into an 1.5 inch trap, and we're going to be using a dry vent going through the roof, and then 1.5 inches coming over to here and tying into a combo fitting. So this will be 1.5 inches by a 3-inch and a 3-inch. And then of course I have a 3-inch 90. Now I don't have a clean out here. In the last example, I am going to provide an example of that clean out. And I do believe you're going to need a clean out located somewhere in this area, so that you can clean this area out if you need to. So let's go ahead and take a little tour here where we're having the toilet drain into another sanitary T or a sanitary T. And then this sanitary T fitting is going to be angled a little bit. I think if we had a 90, we would come right off of here. However, if we do it like this, we won't need another fitting in here or a couple of different fittings. So keep in mind that you can angle this right here. This does not need to come off at a 90 and then turn somehow. And feel free to share your knowledge with us if you want to. I know a lot of plumbers only comment on my stuff if it's wrong. But either way, that helps me and you both learn. So make sure that you read the comments in the comment area. In my next example, I am going to keep everything pretty much the same as the original design, except I'm going to tie the bathtub into the pipe between the toilet and the sanitary T. And I'm going to use the dry vent again. And then we're going to basically connect to this pipe with a combo fitting. And if I was going to use this as a wet vent, I could take this fitting and come off of here flat and then come over to here and then up. And then I would have a wet vent from here to here. If, for example, that would help you with your plumbing. The reason why I have it angled is to provide you with a little more headroom if that's going to help. In our next example, we're going to rotate the bathtub 180 degrees, put the drain over on this side instead of this side. And then again, we're going to use a dry vent. So we're going to have 1.5 inch trap tying into 1.5 inch sanitary T. And then coming down with a sweep or a long 90, another sweep or a long 90 here. And then we're going to 45 down into a combo fitting. So this is all 3-inch. This is all 1.5 inch, including the vent going out of the roof. And I went ahead and provided you with this angle here to show you how much I moved the toilet over, and that it is not coming off of here at a 90-degree angle like this pipe is here. Now this could create too big of a problem for your ceiling. And keep in mind that the original design in the basement has the plumbing below the floor joist. And if I wanted to raise the plumbing, it might look something like this. So what I've done is added a double Y fitting here so that I could pick up the toilet, the bathtub, and the sink. So I have a dry vent here, and then it will turn into a wet vent all the way over to here. And then we'll use that wet vent for the toilet and the bathtub. And this should give you a little more headroom if you need it. However, it's not going to provide us with a lot of drop for the toilet, but that's not going to be a big deal. I don't think you're going to have a problem with the toilet draining. And instead of angling this pipe here, I had to add another fitting here to make the double Y fitting work. And then we're going to need a long 90 or a sweep here for our horizontal to vertical change in direction. And of course our clean out here. And then our sink is going to have to come into here with a sanitary tee. And even though I used a 3-inch all hub fitting here, you can get a 3-inch at the top and the bottom and then an 1.5 inches here. If not, you can get a 3-inch, a 3-inch, and a 2-inch and reduce it down to an 1.5 inches. And the clean out can always extend into the cabinet, or it can always be placed in the basement. Sometimes it's going to be better to have a clean out in a basement that is unfinished. Finished basement might not matter. And another thing you might need to keep in mind will be that the trap for the bathtub might need to be a screw fitting and not a glue fitting, especially if you're going to have access to it from below. That could actually benefit you. So another thing to think about. In this video, I'm going to try and provide you with a couple of reasons why your plunger might not be removing the clogged obstacle in your drainage pipe. So let's start by taking a look at a normal system that doesn't have anything wrong with it, no clogged pipes. And that's going to look something like this. We're going to have a sink with a trap. There will be water in the trap. And then as you use the sink, the water will come down the drain and go to the septic tank or the sewer. And after you stop using the sink, water will fill up in the trap here to prevent obnoxious smells from coming out of the sewer drainage pipes. And we're going to have the same thing with the toilet and the bathtub or shower. And these will drain the same way. As you use the toilet, the water will drain through here. The vent pipes will allow air to get into the drainage pipe to keep the water flowing. Without the vent pipes, we could have a problem with the water draining. It's not going to drain as easy without a vent pipe. So we have a drain line here, drain coming up here, drain coming up here, vent here, vent from here up, and then a vent from here up, and then a clean out. And if you have access to a clean out like this, you might want to just open it up. And if water comes out of it, you know you've got a problem somewhere in the drain line. And you can run some type of a plumbing snake through it to hopefully remove the obstacle and the clog. And of course, you can do the same thing here for each one of these fixtures. And hopefully this makes sense. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at what could happen if we have a clogged drainage pipe that is not blocking the sink, yet is blocking the toilet and the bathtub or the shower. And since you don't know where the clog is, all you can see is the top of the drain in the shower or the water in the toilet bowl. You might have loaned your x-ray glasses out to one of your friends, and that's going to create a guessing game for most people. And I don't think it's ever going to create a problem to grab a plunger and give it a shot, see if you can unlodge the clog and solve the problem. And of course, the reason why the plunger might not be working. When you push down on the plunger and the clog is located a little further away, it's going to allow the water in the pipes to either rise through one of the vents behind the clog. So we have two vents right here that will allow the water to rise as we push down. And of course, it's going to go to the easiest spot with the least resistance, and that's probably going to be over here. However, you could see water coming out of the toilet, especially if the toilet and the bathtub or the shower are sharing the same vent. Or the drain pipe connections might be located closer together. So just to make sure we're on the same page, when I push down with the plunger, in this situation, I have 3 spots where the water can go and not put any pressure at all on the clog, or not be able to put enough pressure on the clog to get it to move. So as I pull up, the water could come back to the same spot, or I could actually pull some water out into the bathtub. And if I do this enough, I could pull a lot of water out of the drain pipes into the bathtub or the shower. However, once I stop plunging, the water's going to kind of go back and level off and put you right back to where you started from. Next up, let's move the plunger over to the toilet to where you can see where we're going to end up with the same situation. As we push down on the plunger, we could actually just end up raising the water level in one of the vent pipes or in the bathtub as the water from you moving the plunger up and down chooses the least path of resistance and avoids unlodging the clog. So the best advice I could give to you would be, if you try using the plunger and nothing happens, then you could vacuum all the water out of the toilet you possibly could and then remove it. And then run a drain cleaning snake through the toilet drain pipe to see if you can unlodge it. However, you don't need to do that if you have a clean out and you know where it's at. Because you can see here, if I removed the clean out cap, then I'm going to end up with all the water draining out, but I'll be able to run a snake through here. And it might be a little bit easier than going through the toilet drainage line. So again, if you know where the clean out is, pop that cap off first. If there's no water coming out, then there's a very good chance you're not going to be dealing with a situation like this, and you might have a clog located somewhere else, still blocking the toilet and the tub together. And of course, the best situation you could possibly run into would be a clog in the toilet. And this will be the situation where you're going to have the best chance of removing the clog, because there's no other place to go. As I push down, I'm going to be putting pressure directly on the clog. And then when I pull back up, I'm going to be reversing the pressure. And this is usually the best way to unlodge something, is to pull up with a little more force and push down with a little bit of force. Because sometimes as you push down, you can actually lodge something in a little further. For example, if you have an object like a toy or something that one of your children put in the toilet and flushed it down and it is stuck there. And of course, this is another situation you might be able to fix after you remove the toilet, that you could check for obstacles in, or go to the second method of running a snake down the drain line after the toilet is removed. Next up, let's move the clog a little further down. It's no longer in the toilet, but it's in between the top of the toilet flange and the next fitting that would be connecting to the drain line. Again, we're going to be able to put more pressure on something like this because there are no other paths of least resistance. And of course, if the toilet is working and the sink is working, but the bathtub or the shower isn't working, then you could always have a situation like this. And as long as there is a point of least resistance, you're probably not going to be able to dislodge the clog. However, if we move it to another spot, now we're going to be able to put more pressure on it again as we push up and down on the plunger. Next up, let's take a look at some regular plumbing pipes that will be running underneath a house. Here we have the toilet drain line, and then a vent for the toilet, and then a drain line here for a sink with a vent. And this might be two sinks here, it might be something else. And then we have another drain line here. So if I had a block or a clog right here, then I might be able to pull it out with my plunger. However, if I move it over to here, then I'm going to be working with the path of least resistance again. Because as I push down, the water is simply going to rise up and down in the vent, putting very little pressure on the clog, if any. And then if I have a clog over here to where the toilet and the sink over here isn't working, and I use the plunger on the toilet, then again, I'm going to have multiple paths of least resistance, probably not going to be able to dislodge the clog. And if I move it a little further down the pipe, now I'm going to have even more problems trying to remove this clog with a plunger. However, if I pull the toilet off, I'll be able to run a snake through here and get rid of the clog. And this would provide us with a good example of what I was talking about. And here's another situation where this is the toilet drain line and this is the vent for the toilet. However, let's pretend like this is the bathtub or the shower drain pipe. And this is what I was talking about. If I had a clog here, then the bathtub or the shower and the toilet won't be working. However, if I remove the clean out at the end of this pipe here and no water came out of it, then there would be a possibility that the clog could be located in another pipe that would be connecting to that pipe or another pipe that would be connecting to another pipe like we have here, suggesting that we're going to be better off to pull the toilet and then run a snake through this line here. And like I said earlier, it's going to be difficult for you to figure out where the clog is because of all of the different pipes going in a variety of different directions. So my best advice would be to break out the plunger first. That doesn't work. Then maybe open up one of the clean outs, especially if it's located on the exterior of the house and not on the inside where it could make a mess. And then try running a plumbing snake through that. And if that doesn't work, then you might need to pull the toilet. And of course, if you pull the toilet and that doesn't work, then you might consider contacting a plumber. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out some of our other videos on YouTube. And if you can't find the videos on YouTube, make sure that you visit our website to find a complete organized list of all of the videos we've made so far.